Perfect.
All right. Bob Nickerson, I'm chair of the Brooks Academy Museum Commission. As required by open meeting law, you're hereby informed that the town will be video and audio taping this public meeting. In addition, anyone in the audience who plans to video or audio tape this meeting must notify the chair prior to start of the meeting. Per the Office of the Attorney General, the committee may hold open sessions for topics not reasonably anticipated by the chair 48 hours in advance of the meeting following the new business. If you are deaf or hearing impaired or a person with a disability who requires accommodation, contact the select board at 508-430-7513. All right, so we're gonna get this done in about an hour because Lynn's got some conflicts. So it'll be a fairly brief meeting in some ways. So the first thing I want to do is approval of minutes of December 10th. Does anybody want to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then old business town report, meeting report. That I didn't bring with me. Unfortunately, I thought I did. So have you all seen the town report? Didn't I share that last time with you? No. Uh-oh. We will put that to the next meeting. But I submitted the report that goes in the annual
Okay.
report. And I
Okay.
will bring that. I'll send it to you, then we can talk about
Or
it.
you send it to me, but I don't know if you send it to anybody else.
Okay. All right, so next is, we want to have our update by Sean. Can you come on over?
Okay, so more ready for questions and answers than anything else, but things are moving along smoothly. The architect's been there on 3 separate occasions. It looks like the long pole in the tent continues to be the Lula lift. That's going to create some changes inside, relocations of doors, relocations of some septic pipes, and some electrical in order to fit it down in the basement. But they've got a design coming forth now, and I expect to see some drawings here probably within the next couple of weeks. That'll be ready for review. And all the reports from the specialties are coming in as well, which is the hazardous materials inspections they've done. They've done lead paint samples, they've done asbestos samples. They did some coring of the floor to see what kind of mastics was used. And that'll tell us what hazardous materials we should be expecting to have remediated in order to do the work.
Okay.
Expect to have a review of the meeting with the architect and the OPM sometime either this week or next week.
All right. Okay, and one thing you mentioned to me, the schedule roughly is 18 months?
Yes.
Something like that? Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm pushing forward to have a completion of June of 27.
Okay. And our date, which I already asked you before, but we're set for this year to go through and have our annual meeting, and then we'll have to get out after that, basically about. Okay. All right. Anybody questions right now?
Will there be access to the building on an individual basis once the construction starts?
I believe so. I'll have to double check that, but most of the work is external. It's on the envelope, so they'll be doing work on the painting and the windows, so there'll be at least one access available, I would believe, for the most of the work. I'll double check with them.
Okay, that's good. Anybody else have any questions?
I don't. think so. I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you coming in because just want to kind of keep up on top of that. Changes going on, and we'll really know more after your next.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he dropped a bunch of drawings off in a Dropbox,
Yeah.
and they're too big for me to even email.
Yeah.
But I'm reviewing it now, and some of it comes from the historical review. and they're asking questions on the columns and such, so they took
Right.
pictures, and they had pictures drawn up from the 1800s to say the columns were a little bit different back then. Do we want to return to that, such as the crown and the base? So that's something we're reviewing now.
Okay. That's a good question to ask, too. Okay.
Who makes that decision?
That'll be between myself and actually historical.
So is that like pieces that were there came off and then never put them back, or what?
They were added on.
Oh, they were
Yeah,
added.
and they were or added on and or changed. So the crown was changed at some point in time,
Okay.
and then the base was added on, and I'm assuming because of rot.
Mhm.
You know, probably some water was splashing back, and they said in order to stop that from rotting the bottom of the column, we'll put the base on to have the water run off and away from the column.
Right.
Not entirely sure, but they're looking into what was there, and they're gonna ask us what we prefer, what we want.
Yeah.
So also look at obviously costs and how much additional cost might be
Yes,
to go
now,
to A or B or whatever. that kind of thing.
in the original concept of what we desired, what we gave to the architect was repairs to the columns, so that's why it's being looked at in the
Yeah,
first place.
Right. That makes sense. I mean, we don't wanna rebuild the base if it's gonna continually have problems without using maybe different types of materials that are hidden or something like that.
Right, and I know Howard Historical does not like,
That's one. Yeah, I'd like to change material.
correct.
Especially in the historic district.
So you don't see any input from this committee since we're responsible for the
I'm
building?
gonna, when I get these drawings, before we have a final, I will present it,
Okay,
or I'll somehow get it to you
Yeah.
for your.
discussion and review.
Exactly.
Okay. Comments or whatever, basically. Okay, that'll be great. All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, I'm done.
All right. And I forgot to say who our guests are, but we already know who our guests are, but we need to make sure you know her. You know Diane already?
Yes.
She's busy
All right.
writing.
Okay. And
That's the
Diane-
problems of being the secretary.
And just so you know, Diane has applied to be on the committee.
Right.
So it's just a matter of trying to get to the interview, which seems to be a long process here. And she was out of town for the last one when they had, so they're gonna, once that happens, by next time, she'll probably be a member of the committee. So we already
Hopefully.
do have enough, but it's great to have 4. We have 5, we could have 5. So that's great. All right, thanks so much for
Okay.
coming, Sean.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
All right. Any other board topics at the moment? Okay, we already losing our second speaker.
Oh, he'll be back.
I know. So I just said discussions on new members, so I already jumped ahead to that. And then,
Yes, we'll be glad to
I
have
think the
Diane
next thing
here.
is really to talk to Paul and see if he's come up with a updated plan I think he's gonna present. Paul, are you ready to give us an update?
I'll give you an update. Sorry about that. I forgot Sean was just named the deputy director of the DPW.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I forgot to mention it.
Yeah, he's gonna be the man next year.
Yeah. So just as a reminder, and I made a couple of copies here for everybody. Maybe very high-end architectural renderings here. Diane, do you want to look on
Yeah.
here? I don't.
Do you have,
You-
do you have it?
You
I
can come
no,
to
but
the-
I.
come
Here,
to-
come.
that-
You can join
Why don't
us.
you sit
no.
here, we can look together.
Yeah.
All right, here, then you take
No,
that.
no, no.
All
Oh, well,
right.
okay, I don't need it. This is the one, actually, Diane, this was my original one when we started out in this process. And just to refresh your memory, this is what things sort of looked at when
Right.
we started the process. And today it's kind of more like
Beautiful.
this.
Just beautiful.
And the final sort of piece of the puzzle that I had originally presented to the Brooks Academy Commission, then in existence at the time, Diane's husband as chair, was to include several phases, and so that in the end, the area would represent more or less this kind of a layout with actually we've ended up putting in 4 new trees, not 3, but the 4th was added a year and a half ago in the back. There's another sweet gum. But other than that, we've pretty much followed the plan here that was originally set up, phased in landscaping costs, which was redoing the grass and putting in irrigation, reseeding, putting in new loam and reseeding the whole area, adding fencing around the perimeter of the property. We put in the brick walk and the plantings along Parallel Street, the 7 or 8 shrubs that we have there that I have to keep shaping and maintaining. And the one area that was sort of the last item on the plan, phase 4 or whatever, involved the placement of a speaking area or a little lecture area or whatever to have evening programs or whatever is maybe appropriate for the town, for the Historical Society, for the Garden Club, for whoever would like to take advantage of an outside setting in the summer evening. So that was the plan. Now, we're at the stage where, and this is kind of a photograph I took the other day in the middle of bleak midwinter here. But this is the area that I'm talking about here. It's the area to the north side. It's down near, well, I think you can still see maybe some of Lynn's. She didn't pick all the blackberries there. But anyway.
That's my hidden spot.
So this is the area that faces to the north, sloping down in a contoured area which lends itself very nicely to some sort of staged or staggered seating arrangement, which is the plan here. Now, I did come up with this very high-end rendering.
We can share this.
Which is, I've talked it over with a couple of potential contract help kind of people. The plan that I am sort of looking at, although it's subject to any revisions that's appropriate, that's for sure, is to have a staged area which would be down in the area in front of the current sort of briars and undergrowth that's at the
My
further to the
blackberries.
north. But it would cut in slightly to that area, or at least abut that area at the back of the stage, and then I'm anticipating about a 5-foot speaking area. And then there would be, going up the contours of the hill, carved into those contours, 3 rows of seating. I'm trying to do this as inexpensively but as attractively as possible. So the suggestion is that it would be about 12-foot pine, soft pine planks, treated pine, with the posts sunk into the ground and the seating situated on a kind of diagonal facing the stage. 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows as you go back up the hill. And then and they're about, 5 or 6 feet apart. And so it would seat around 30 to 35 people, everybody occupying all of the benches. However, at the back of at the top of the hill here, where it's relatively flat and there's a area that surrounds the barn that is has stones for adapting to the area and covering the rainfall and so forth off the barn. But between that and the area where the seating is, it's relatively flat at the top of that area, and the suggestion had come that maybe that could even be an area that could have wheelchairs or some sort of handicapped access that could be at the back of the area and not have to negotiate the hill or the steps. So I am anticipating that that area would be open and people could come with seats as well, and so you could accommodate more than necessary would be provided on the bench seating. Maybe there could be individual private seating or whatever brought by chairs, people bringing chairs. Then to the right of the benches, right as you face the stage, I anticipate some step downs to accommodate again access to the benches. Now, this would be all in kind of just a sort of step down, nothing fancy here, but just grass steps with the risers marked, probably in a wood inlay, whatever.
Would you use like railroad ties to
Well, it
create
could
the
be
levels?
railroad ties or some sort of support pieces. But basically, you'd step down, and probably I'm thinking of fairly long steps so that you could easily negotiate them, and that would accommodate roughly the three areas of seating. Now, my best guesstimate is about $10,000 to do all of this. In talking with various people, more knowledgeable certainly than I am, but one thing we'd have to first do is to get probably the fellow that I have come and take care of this water system for us. Turn on water, turn off water, replace mains and so forth when things come into some sort of an issue with them. I need to have the irrigation on this side of the property revised to accommodate now where these seats will go. So I'm sure the plan would be to remove it while the area is being sort of carved into where the rows of seating would go, and then the irrigation realigned there, so that I still want the area to be irrigated because there will be grass, basically surface on the hill as there is today. So that would be the first step to reconfigure the sprinkler system, and then still open to any kind of suggestion about the stage, but I'm anticipating the surface and the side surfaces and so forth would obviously be wood. In talking with, for example, Harry Ellis as a potential contractor here, Harry thought maybe some larger stones or boulders along this area to provide both the support as well as physical break between the seating and the stage, but also to keep from having to place and have wood subsurface there, substructure. So still working on the format of the foundation area of the stage, but some sort of combination maybe of stone and wood or all wood. I was thinking of a lattice skirt sort of around the area of the stage. I was also thinking of maybe having some kind of a removable back to the stage, so that the back of the stage could also serve as sort of the screen on which you would place the projections of any speaker's material and so forth. But not to have that area blocked or whatever visually by having some structure sitting up there when the stage isn't in use. So some sort of a portable or adaptable backdrop for the stage itself, and then, as I say, the staggered seating up the hill. I'm anticipating. Oh, and then the electrical connection. I show that coming in from the. There is an electric box down there that is set back off of Forest Street, but it would be easy enough to just run some sort of a piping and run the wiring through the pipe to access that area. You'll probably look actually in the picture that I show. You can see the little structure where the electric box is configured right there facing Forest Street. But when in season,
And
that's
that
all
goes to
grown
the-
up.
Does
It's
that
all-
go to the barn now?
It goes to the barn now, provides the electricity for the barn, but it would also be
Right.
adaptable to use for this
Right.
purpose. So that's my thought. I don't know relative to the final sort of issues of the raising of the funds, of course, which is an important area. I'm certainly prepared to help in that area. My thought originally was, when I first came up with this idea, whatever, 5 years ago, was to have it be the Bethia Payne Theater. As a person who very generously donated the land, which today provides a very nice endowment for the society. But I was thinking maybe, and we did use some funds back initially when we bought a couple of the trees that are there on the property. The rest of the expenses and so forth I've personally covered. And I'm prepared to do that here as well, but if the society felt as though maybe it would be appropriate to give Bethia Payne's name to the theater, maybe we would be able to use some Bethia Payne funds to help support the construction of the site there. But I envision it being very much a public town area. As I say, there's no, I've searched the town grounds to see if there's anything that's comparable. The only thing I found was some stone seating down at the Monomoy Regional Technical School in the area. There's kind of more or less an outdoor speaking, or you might call it a little classroom or something setting there, but that's about it in terms of any kind of outside structure or available space for people to have evening, late afternoon, whatever, programs of interest. Now, of course, I consider any of the, let's say, historical seminars or presentations, but also potentially bird carving or whatever, since Paul is having those classes in the building itself, maybe even having some sort of instructional program. And then annually there is different events that seem to be developing here related to the barn. Very likely those could be accommodated by such a theater setup as well. So I really feel as though once it's up and running, it's going to be a very popular site. A couple of things that I originally planned, which have modified for historical purposes, let's say, more authentic purposes, in keeping with the barn itself. But originally I had planned on continuing Brian Murphy, who has the property of your former home, has a stockade type of fence that runs along the back of his property facing this site. Originally, I had thought about having that same sort of structure continue part way up, not all the way to block any view of the barn or the area, but just to come up part way, sort of to close off visually a little bit of this sort of undergrowth that's very unattractive stuff, just wild briars and so forth, brambles. But also, I was thinking in terms of quieting traffic noise or whatever from the street, as well as potential wind coming from that side, the southwest side, or whatever, the west side of the property, so that people who were presenting various kinds of lectures or whatever would be less impacted by noise anyway. And I thought the fence might provide some sort of insulation to that. So that's another sort of more, we'll see how it goes. It ended up with me putting in a split rail fence all along Forest Street, and of course, as you know, in front of the building itself, but and along parallel. But I'm still thinking that maybe there's some advantage to having visually as well as a sound helpful screen, restricting sound sort of relative to the programming that's going on in the theater. Anyway, so that's kind of the plan. And I mean, there's no pride of authorship here. Any changes that might be suggested, I'm just interested in seeing it done. I think it's a very fitting, appropriate area, both from a geographic standpoint as well as the type of terrain that exists lends itself very satisfactorily to theater presentations, and I think it would be as with this building itself. Now a much more used, enjoyed, understood kind of sense that there's something going on there versus what it was when we started out, where you'd say, is this place still open? What is that? Is that? And I anticipate this would further the effective use and enjoyment of this property with this addition. So anyway.
A couple of housekeeping type questions.
Yes, certainly.
You mentioned having a temporary screen in the speaking area where
Yes.
presentations could be shown. Where is that equipment going to get stored?
Well, I'm
And-
just talking about
I know,
maybe
but
3 panels,
Yeah.
let's say, that might be placed on there.
But
Where would it
it's-
be stored? Well, there's a storage area right adjacent to this property. There's a little storage site which has plenty of space in it. I put the hoses in there, I put the paint in
Okay.
there and so forth.
Um,
So that's not an issue. There's
yeah.
also room here in this barn until the exhibit, until it gets opened for that purpose. But
But,
I'll take the things home
Yeah.
if I need to.
well, it's pain in the neck little questions, but it's little questions that have to be considered. Also, you mentioned the electrical. I mean, it's a great plan, Paul. It's a great plan. Where do you anticipate the on-off switches, the connections and all that?
Well, they're already there. All we're doing is running a plug to that stage so that you can plug in a potential
So you're gonna-
projector or
okay.
some sort of electric need. I'm not anticipating any, overhead lighting or anything fancy. It's just a basic connection for the speaker's purposes.
And one more little housekeeping that has nothing
Yeah.
to do with the construction. Scheduling. Who's going to be responsible for all of that?
Brooks Academy Commission. I would anticipate they're responsible for all that goes on this property.
So that would have to be something that would have to be figured out.
Yeah, I would see us doing that with a historical society, since they're our tenant. There may be a joint effort in something like that.
Yeah.
Certainly, I would anticipate as the
Right.
historical societies using this on a regular basis,
Yeah, I would
actually.
hope
Oh,
that they
yeah.
would,
But
especially with the
in
museum
terms of
closed,
Right.
other
you know.
entities coming forward, I would say that the Brooks Academy Commission would be the responsible entity to say yea or nay, is this an
Yeah.
appropriate program?
For example, doing the presentation I did at the library, I could do something like that. That would
Exactly
be
right.
perfect.
Right.
Permits, what kinds of permits would be needed?
I have no idea. I don't anticipate any permits
Okay.
any more than is currently required.
Okay.
And since there's no exterior or external
to
theater
the
of this
back.
nature,
Yeah.
we're kind of breaking new ground here, but I wouldn't anticipate that any more than you get the approval of library to make a presentation at the library. I mean, they're in charge of that. I'd say you folks would authorize the use of the theater for
Yeah, I know it's
whatever.
nitpicky questions, but it's also questions that I'm sure the
Yeah, no,
Historic
no,
Society
I,
is
uh,
gonna be
welcome
asking
them.
as well.
No,
I think
I
this.
mean, this is a thing that kind of goes in and kind of get planned, but then it could expand. Like, there's thinking here. Somebody may want to be married there,
True.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a
Sure.
perfect spot for a small little wedding,
Yep,
right? I mean, that would be kind of cool.
yep,
It could be a huge money source for
yes,
the
it
town.
could be.
Yeah.
You folks
Could
could
be.
become the profit center.
No, yeah, I don't think so.
Can
No,
an audience
no.
ask a
No,
question?
that's true. I mean, it's.
Yeah. But I mean, I think if there's all sorts of little things that could be done. I mean, the small activities with children's shows, maybe
Yeah.
they're not over here, they move over here in the summer and do a skit or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, things that all different
Yeah.
organizations in the town might say, oh, I didn't even think about that. So I think there's a big possibility. Paul, when you look at this,
I hesitate to mention that originally, with that screen I was talking about of the fencing along Forest Street, I had kind of, in my fondest expectations, I guess, envisioned maybe a little picnic area, have a couple of picnic tables so people could go there, take their lunch or something, and either family or workers or whatever. I mean, I think it could enhance the usage of the property
Yeah.
significantly in a tasteful way.
so right now, are you looking at not removing any of this?
No, I don't think we'll have to remove anything. I've got it's about a 25
Yeah, I saw that.
wide open,
Yep.
nothing being impacted on the back end of the property or further to the, let's say, north. Yeah, I envision the stage area being against
Right there, yeah.
this site, yeah.
I mean, I'm not opposed to some of this being
Yeah,
myself.
it's,
And I didn't realize how much space there is
It's
from
big
here
space.
all the way to that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's quite a bit of space
there
there.
is. It's
And
gotta
I've
be.
already asked Barbara, I said, is this a wetland? She knows it's not a wetland. Barbara's an environmental scientist. That's what she did for a living. She did-
No, it's never.
just a
I mean,
low
even
spot.
in wet days, it's not wet.
Yeah, no.
Right. Yeah, it's not a.
Can audience say something or no?
Yeah,
Can the
sure.
audience
Oh,
say?
yeah.
Instead of a stockade fence for soundproofing, if you put in some native cedars, you'd have this very soft green,
Yeah.
dark green
Perfect.
that would kill the sound, but would be way more inviting. A stockade fence tends to visually
Yeah.
tell you to stay away.
I know
Yeah.
the Historic Society was not happy with the stockade fence idea, because it's not conducive historically to the area.
Yeah,
But the cedars would be.
Right.
They would be native cedars that,
Much better idea.
Brooks would have used.
Right.
You could certainly do that, get a fairly, like a 6 or 8
Yeah.
foot to get started. And then, this is just such a charming idea to you know, bring the community together in one more way, that your platform for 5 feet, if you created more of a stage, then kids who are doing plays would have access to it. Lynn, if she's doing like a historical recreation, if they're having a scene, they would have room. So I'm just throwing that out there too.
Yeah, I that's the kind of thing, any suggestion that's supportive to expanding its use, I think is very much sought. But when I drew this, I just figured, let me see,
Getting
I
close.
guess I didn't keep a copy of my drawing,
Yeah.
but, yeah, it was, it's roughly 25 feet across there. Right now, I just have it as a 5-foot depth and a 10-foot width. So,
So it's about the size of half this table then.
Yeah. Yes,
Well,
right.
actually,
Yeah.
this is
it'd be,
probably pretty
10
close
foot
to
width.
10, but,
yeah.
Yeah,
but wider
Yeah.
this way.
yeah.
Again, I'm thinking of it more for lectures and, you know, not the need for a huge expanse, but
But if you are
what
thinking
you're
of it
suggesting is
for
another
little
opportunity.
outdoor,
Yeah.
You don't want to
Scenes
limit things,
or
but you don't want to have a
plays.
huge stage, so it's
Right.
kind of a balance of,
Yeah.
right,
as you go forward. I mean, what we could do, once the weather changes and snow is finally gone, we could go out and stake these things
yeah.
to get it, you know, that's when
Nice.
you're really gonna get a feel of what it
Right.
looks like.
Yeah.
Say, okay, that stage looks
Yeah.
awful small, somebody might fall off it, whatever, maybe we want a 7-foot or whatever, I don't know, I have no idea. But I think it's a good start with everything he has here,
Mhm.
myself. I think it could be really exciting.
I think so too.
Mm-hmm.
That grounds can be so underutilized, and I'm thinking if this could be put in place before next summer, when we're closed down, we actually could use it for
Yeah.
historic presentations that we
Yeah.
are gonna be out of for another year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everybody could kind of win a little bit on this, I think. And I love the idea of the cedars.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
you know, I hate stockade fences, honestly.
Yeah.
And plus you put them up in about 4 years, 5 years, they're starting to rot out.
They look
Anyway,
awful.
so-
Yeah.
I agree. It's not
No, I
against
know,
it.
I know.
Never,
You just-
never a
I
good
know why you
thought.
wanna do it. You're trying to insulate the sound and the visual of that, but that would be a lot prettier.
Yeah.
And as you're talking, Paul, I can just picture, you know, a summer scene with tourists coming to learn about Elmer Kroll. And because it is kind of connected to Elmer Kroll, it'd be lovely to have some kind of a nod to that with either a design, bird designs on the wood somewhere, or carvings, two
Yeah.
bird carvings, you know, just because that's, you know, what it's all about. It's the bird carvings there.
Well, one good thing is it is outside the historic district, so you don't have to go before the historic
Oh, we
district
don't?
comment, no?
Oh, I was gonna ask that question.
No, it is, the historic district ends in the parking lot.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
interesting.
Opens
The
also.
actual site of this building, the barn, was a separate property that was owned by Charlie Coleman, actually. And he sold it to the town when he sold the adjacent property across the parallel that creates the
Oh, the
triangle
parking, yeah,
there,
oh, yeah.
where there's parking and
Yeah,
the Robert Treat Payne Memorial, and that was also owned by Charlie, or a good piece of that. He sold that to the town, and he sold this piece. So the Brooks Academy kind of went down, and then behind Patsy's house, it was cut off, so there was a, whatever it is, probably an acre or something of land there that is really outside the historic
That's
district.
that's weird that one piece though wasn't historical.
It wasn't one piece, what'd you say?
Well, I mean, that lot where the barn is.
Yes.
Why would that not be historical when,
When the historic district was created,
was
it
before the
wasn't
land
included,
was
they
part
just
of it.
included
The buildings.
Underwood, Sidney Underwood's home,
Yeah.
and the Brooks Academy building
Yeah.
site.
Okay.
And the Brooks Academy
So it was
property
just where the
ran right
buildings
down to
were,
Main
right?
Street,
Mhm.
next to Sidney Underwood.
Okay. Hmm.
Well, we'd still be, you know, anything we're gonna do, we're gonna try to be,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not gonna do anything like,
No.
Yeah.
a pink building in there or whatever.
You probably have the votes of the Historic District Commission if you need it, but I don't know.
Right, right. No, I think this is an exciting idea. I would really look at, I don't think these are important. I think we would try to look
Aw.
at, I mean, we move these to her house and then
We
we
could
would
save
have
a
some
couple
room.
for
But I
Lynn.
mean, really, I mean, you could have,
Yeah.
you know, because you have such beautiful area behind it, why wouldn't you want to have that texture as a backdrop? And also a sound improvement, so
Yeah.
we're not disturbing the owner there at all, not that it's gonna be loud, but I mean, just things like that, so I think
Right.
you start looking at really all the landscaping in this area to kind of make a, kind of a, like a hug almost, you know, you're in there, it's like this, you feel like you're all together as a group.
Mhm.
you know.
Private.
As I think I mentioned the last time, originally, when we went in there to kind of begin preparing this site, Link just had a couple of guys go in there with these huge bushwhacking machines and basically cut all of this down. And one thought was, well, maybe we could maintain it by continuing to cut it. But the thinking was it's probably better left to nature. But in that process, we did cut down and remove some very spindly, kind of unattractive maples that were in there, so that the area today has been cleansed. There were several actually invasive, and destructive or whatever, negative pieces of vegetation in there. There was that tree of, what is it, life or something, that is considered to be a breeder of the,
Mimosa tree, maybe?
not mimosa, I think it was called Tree of Life or something. It was right on Forest Street, and Bartlett came and identified these different trees and said, you gotta get rid of that thing. It's a breeder of the red lantern fly or something.
Oh, we don't want those.
We
No,
don't
we don't
want
want
that. And it only lives in these kinds of trees, and they're
It's probably
they're
the tree I
inappropriate
took-
for the
put all
Cape
my girls
anyway.
in one year
Yeah.
for a Christmas card.
Other than for Christmas. So anyway,
So-
so we did, but then in terms of continuing to kind of keep the thing under control, it's a full-time job just doing that. So anyway, it's been left to go back to
So
what it
who
was.
has the I mean, I know you run the Bethia Payne Fund, but who gets to determine,
The Historical Society.
oh,
And
and
how
Yeah,
much
I
is
know
in,
that.
how much is in that fund, Paul? About?
A lot.
Well, today, I would say with the market down, as it is, about, it's probably $620,000. Spare $10,000.
Well, and I
Yes,
know
they can.
that, like, the last time you were here, there was opposition to that, but I think that, you know, there's no reason not to spend it, really.
It's
Well, I think it's
insignificant.
worth-
That's whatever it's cost
Yeah.
is insignificant to that
Yeah,
number.
I know.
I mean, what are you gonna save it for forever?
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
it's
that-
sort of like the garden club, it's like, you know, you have the money, just spend it to do.
And let me
like,
say, the
some
garden
nice
club has been
things.
very supportive, and
Yeah.
when I finally got
She's-
around to getting to
That's another
cut in
story.
some beds for flowers and so forth, they were instrumental in terms of ideas and execution. And while the lavenders kind of struggled there, but it's getting better. And at the end of last year, we had some very nice blooms and so forth. It was very attractive addition to the site. So they've been immeasurably value in terms of ideas and encouragement for doing more about that. So, but let me add that when you talk about putting in cedars and you talk about building a bigger stage and so forth,
Yeah, money's
we're now
money.
looking at more costs,
So-
so I have to
So,
kind of factor
here's
that
one
in. I don't
idea
have a
I'll just
bottomless
throw
pit.
out there,
My
like-
wife maybe, but not me.
The tech school,
Mm-hmm.
could they build
Well,
some
I'm
of the-
hoping to, yes.
Because I know that they did it for Aaron's Museum. They built the car ramps and stuff, the tech school that's up.
Very good, yeah.
And near her, and,
Hmm.
you know, they did it for free. Like,
Yeah.
they just did
Well,
everything.
that's a good idea, and
And
I'll
so,
pursue that,
um,
because I was anticipating to get volunteer help. I already get Bobby to help me mow those plays, but
Yeah, and he had to get new knees just to do it.
that's right.
But he should be much better now.
That's right. Yeah, he was kind of in and out last year. I had to, but he's exceptional. Helps me paint, helps me mow, and so forth. But what was I going to say? Forgot now. That I was expecting to use that figure I gave of 10,000 for basically the cost. I've got electrical connection, I've got the pavers for the walkways into the seating, I've got the benches, the posts, the stage itself, and the reconfiguration of the sprinklers, and that's roughly the cost that I'm incurring here.
Right.
I'm assuming that I'm gonna get people either to generously donate their time in terms of Harry Ellis's type of similar contractors' work, and what you are
Yeah.
suggesting is
That's
another
a great
avenue
idea.
I'll
That's
be
a good
happy to
idea.
take.
Something to look at, yeah.
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 So, yeah, free labor is,
I mean,
well, this is
obviously.
basically
But
materials.
it, you know, and maybe you could, like, they have to do community service, maybe they could
Yeah.
kind of,
All right, so what do you think our next move is? We have this, do we,
I
where
think,
do we go?
I mean, despite whether the Historical Society says yes to the money, I think that it should be
Well,
done, and I think that we
yeah,
could
it's-
get donations
I
if
don't-
we needed to, but.
It's more aimed at getting Bethia Payne's name
Yeah.
assigned to it. That was my thought, because I think it would be a nice gesture for what she's done, and it's I remember one person, who the devil is Bethia, who's Bethia, where do we get this money from? And so,
Yeah.
I mean, even the society isn't really familiar
Right.
with
Right.
Bethia.
Right.
I remember her, but there aren't many around.
Yeah, it would be great to
that,
have like a nice
have the
stone there and her
institution.
name on it, and,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and then have some information about her
Right.
available. I think that's a great idea.
But, and it's a sort of a reward or whatever, I mean, for maybe helping somewhat on some of the costs, but
No, I think it's worth pursuing, so.
I'll
Okay, so,
cross that bridge. when
you're
we
gonna
get
talk,
there.
you're gonna speak to maybe some of the tech people and see if there's some
I'll
opportunity
do
there.
that, yeah.
And then, so it's the Historic Society that's in charge of the Bethia Payne, is that part of it?
They're
Okay.
but yeah, I mean, I'm not in any rush for that.
Right,
That's, that can be
No,
done.
but since they're the tenant to the property, we
Right.
need to keep them
Yeah,
apprised
alert,
of what.
yeah.
I mean, they don't control the property, they use they rent it basically.
Right,
So, but we certainly we're kinda like this anyway, even though we're separate, but we're not separate, we're both on it, I mean. So, it's, you know, it's just a matter of giving them an update and talking about it and just kinda saying this is something we're considering as the museum. And we'd like their support and, you know, what we're doing, and maybe they have some suggestions. So, okay. We won't get it on this Friday's agenda, but maybe next time,
Mhm.
because we gotta get ready for that, and maybe have some details I could bring in and share that. I think it'd be valuable,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So, okay.
Okay.
All right,
Well,
any other questions, because I
Commissioner,
know we have
very
to
much.
kinda keep this short, since she's gonna run to another practice. So, anything else? A vote to adjourn?
Yep,
Second.
second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Push the button, yes?
Yep.